Good morning and happy Tuesday. How are you? Sorry I missed you yesterday. Life happens even to me. So, we were talking about and have been talking about one of the biggest things that you can take away from all of the self help stuff. State is everything. Manage your state and you have everything. Don't manage your state and you don't have anything. And they talk about the gap, the period between what happens and your response, and the fact that we control that response. It isn't what happens that decides how we feel. We decide how we feel. Two people can have the exact same experiences and have completely different responses to those exact same experiences. So, how is it that we decide how we feel? How do we actually do that? Well, that's our triad. There's three things that form a triangle, three things that decide how we feel about everything. And the base of that triangle is physiology, your physical body. How you hold your physical body changes everything about how you feel about an event. If all of a sudden you go down and you slouch down, there's no way that you can feel happy and excited. But if you go up, you're going to feel happy and excited. And in fact, Tony Robbins has been teaching this stuff forever. And in fact, now the scientists have proven that if we stand in a certain way, we do a Wonder Woman pose or a Superman pose, that in fact our testosterone goes up and our adrenaline goes down. So we feel more confident and more calm. There's actually a chemical response. People who have been legally blind their entire life, when they win something at the Paralympics, win a race or win something, they go up in the air to celebrate. They jump up in the air to celebrate. Now, they didn't learn that. That's an instinctive maneuver. Why? Because in order to really celebrate, we have to do that. So if your idea of celebration is going, yeah, that was good. Okay, well then you're denying yourself what it feels like to truly celebrate. So that's the impact of physiology. And physiology is the first thing to decide how we feel. Radical change in physiology is going to radically change how you feel about anything. Then we talked about language/belief. The language that we use to describe something changes the feeling. So if you say, excuse me, I just got done with the morning jaunt. So if you say that it's devastating as opposed to that's inconvenient, you're going to feel two completely different ways about that same event. The language that we use to describe something matters. And people that are trying to influence you understand this. They understand the power of language. So if you keep saying something, incantations work because they kind of hypnotize you. Why does the military use them? Why does the military sing when they're running? Why did they sing those various songs? Number one, to distract you from what you're doing. But number two, the songs have a purpose. The words in the song start to ingrain a new identity for the people that they're doing. Go back and watch Full Metal Jacket, and it'll show you how the Marine Corps takes everybody, no matter where they come from, and turn them into a Marine. First, they start with their physiology, then they go to language. Then the last part, focus/belief. That's the last part of our triad, and that's what we're talking about today. Focus/belief. Whatever you focus on is what you get. Where focus goes, energy flows. At any time in your life, could you focus on everything that's wrong with your life, or with a relationship, or with a partnership, or with a given situation? Sure. What's wrong is always available. So is what's right. And you can decide what you're focusing on. Most of what's going on around us at any given time, we're not paying attention to because it'd be too much. It would be completely overwhelming. We're deletion creatures. Your brain is filtering things out. Did you ever decide that you were going to like you bought a new car and all of a sudden you saw that car all over the place, or you bought a new purse or a new dress or a new pair of shoes? Was it that all of a sudden everybody else purchased those products? No, it's that now you're focusing on those. And of course, your phone pops up and shows you all those products all the time. But it's because you decided to focus on that particular thing. So now that's what you see. And why do we say focus/belief? Because it isn't just focus, it is what you believe about that. So we put that on the language side. Focus, language/belief. Because it isn't just the language, it's what you believe about the language. Because certain words here in the United States are really negative, whereas in Australia and the UK, the same word is playful. So the belief about the language and the belief about what you're focusing on also makes a difference. Again, two people can have the same exact experience and have two completely different beliefs about what that experience means. And that's going to be decided by their physiology, the language that they're using, and what they're focusing on. So as you decide what you're focusing on, you can choose, am I going to focus on what's going wrong, or am I going to focus on what's going right? Now, that doesn't mean you should walk around in denial and say everything's great. No, don't stand in your garden and say there's no weeds, there's no weeds, there's no weeds. But when you see the weeds, pull them out and then focus on all the good stuff that there is in the garden. Don't be, just, I'm going to believe that everything's going to be great, like the book The Secret, and then it's going to be great. No, you got to do the work. But if all you do is focus on everything that's wrong, you're not going to be motivated. And the physiology impacts this stuff the most. You radically change your physiology, you do a morning priming, you do a morning exercise routine, you're going to feel differently about what happens. It's going to change everything in terms of the language that you use in the focus. But remember, you can always change this intentionally. And the more you do it, the more it becomes habitual, and the more it'll be easier. The more it'll become repetitive for you. So at first, you might have to intentionally say, okay, stop thinking about everything that's wrong, and let's start thinking about what's right in my life. That's why morning questions are so important. Those 5 morning questions we talked about months ago. What's great in your life right now? What could be great if you wanted it to be? What are you happy about in your life? What could you be happy about if you wanted to? What are you excited about in your life? What could you be excited about if you wanted to? And how does all of that stuff make you feel? Who do you love and who loves you? Who could love you if you would let them? And how does that make you feel? If you start out with those questions, it's going to change your focus. Us in the Tony world, we do priming, which changes our focus, where we always start with gratitude. So all of those things together decide how you feel about any given situation. And the biggest takeaway, number one, state is everything. Manage your state, you have everything. Don't manage your state, you don't have anything. Because if you don't manage your state, then you're at reaction. You're not the one that's directing your life. Something else is directing your life. Number two, you decide how you respond to any given event by managing your state, using these 3 things: physiology, language / belief, and focus. So it doesn't matter what happens. You can decide how you're going to respond to that particular event. And when you make that distinction in your life, life completely changes. And if you want to throw on top of that as the icing on the cake, to always start with gratitude and live in an attitude of gratitude, that's the don't suffer for more than 90 seconds rule. Now life just goes to a whole new thing. Because think about what happens. If something bad happens, and let's face it, something's gonna, little or big, from the car breaks down to a pipe breaks to somebody's, got a terminal illness. All of those things are all of those things gonna happen in our life? Yeah, those things are all gonna happen. Are you gonna have a car that breaks down at some point? Sure. Are you gonna have something go significantly wrong in a house? Probably, chances are good. And is somebody that you're gonna care about gonna pass away? Yeah, that stuff's all gonna happen. So when you decide that you are gonna figure out how you respond, that you're gonna control how you respond to those events, now your response is gonna be much more eloquent than if you're living in reaction, which is going to create a different result, which is going to create more confidence, which is going to create another positive response, which is going to create another more positive result, which is going to create another positive consequence, and the cycle continues. That's what we talked about with regards to money. How do the rich get richer? Because they understand how to make decisions that increase their net worth, and they just keep going from there. And how do the poor keep staying poor, even if they're handling a huge amount of money? Because they don't know how to make those decisions. They make decisions which result in them losing money, not gaining money. Same is true with our life. Manage your state, and you're going to be able to start doing more eloquent responses to events, which is going to result in better results from those responses, more confidence, and pretty soon you've created a whole new identity. Thank you for watching, everybody. Good morning. It's great to see you. Let's say hi to everybody. Mr. Drehobel down in Florida. Dolores, it's great to see you on live. My great uncle Bill, Valerie, Patty, and Anita, my standards, my people who are always here. Janet, thank you so much for being on. Truly honored when you guys take the time to watch. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.